What is up, everybody? Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. It is Monday, December 30th, a historic night today in WWE history as we got the last and final WWE RAW on the USA Network. And it ended in a very fireworks kind of a bit with CM Punk and Seth Rollins throwing every single shot possible at each other. But before we get to that, Santi is in the building. Santi, how are you feeling coming off of this episode of Raw?
That last 25 minutes of that episode was just such a roller coaster of emotion between the unbelievably good match between Io and Lyra Valkyria, which is, I think, one of the best women's matches of the year, followed by what I thought was maybe the most cathartic promo that I've seen in a while. It almost felt like CM Punk and Seth Rollins needed to get that out, and that they got the opportunity to be able to just let out every single vicious thought that they were feeling right before they went on to Netflix. What a great way to end that era of Raw on USA Network.
Dude, I was screaming watching this because remember because this has been something that this started right when CM Punk got to WWE, right? Him and Seth. It started going. And then, of course, because of the injuries and all this other stuff that went down, we ended up having to, go a different direction, right? Seth still makes it to WrestleMania, great. But then we get into this, 10-month long program with Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. And honestly, Santi, when we went back to Seth, I was sort of waiting for this to feel hot. And I thought the brawl that they did last week was great. We loved that. That was a good time. But this promo is what sold this so much more. Like you said, it was this cathartic thing where they finally said everything they needed to say. And I was sort of concerned for a second that they weren't going to have anything new to say. I thought maybe everything had been said and done because we had so many of these promos. And I had wondered because I thought, okay, if they're going to be throwing shots at each other, it's so easy for Seth Rollins to grab and poke at some things, and he went for it today. Really quickly, just to summarize some of the mentions that we got here. We got personal shots thrown where CM Punk mentioned Becky Lynch and questioned Seth Rollins to see if her leaving was her walking with her bullets, taking the ball and going home. 2, Seth Rollins responded with an even more brutal message by basically saying that Becky Lynch went home to raise a child, something that CM Punk wouldn't know about because he doesn't have kids. Let's pause there, Santi. What was your reaction to that? Because I thought that was incredibly personal and maybe even below the belt.
Yeah, the reaction was honestly, damn! It felt like, have you ever seen the movie White Chicks?
Yes.
Oh, you want to talk about mamas. That's what it felt like watching that segment between those two. It just sort of felt like they were just allowed to hit each other with the most vile things that you could say right before we go on the Netflix. We had alluded mentions to Vince McMahon, the mention of the Colt Cabana podcast. Like they really they saw the line in the sand and they skipped right over it merrily, right into Netflix. They said, we're done with cable television. What are they going to do? Fire us? It almost felt like that's what they were doing.
No, and what the crazy part about this, right, is that everything else, right? We got a Vince McMahon mention where Seth Rollins said, CM Punk said he liked working in WWE. He just didn't like the guy that was running things. And then we also got Seth Rollins mentioning, like you said, the Colt Cabana podcast, which we know, I mean, we don't really even speak about it out loud on TV because it was so controversial and it was the most anti WWE podcast you could ever listen to. I mean, hell, you could even go back and listen to it now and you probably have a blast because of the way that whole Colt Cabana and CM Punk, the way they really went into everything that happened. It was the most raw, real podcast that you'll ever listen to. But of course, that led to, WWE and, suing CM Punk. Of course, just everything that happened after that, it was so messy. It was so ugly. And it caused CM Punk to be bitter and angry towards WWE for such a long time. I never thought they would mention this on WWE television.
Yeah, no, like I said, I felt like they knew it was their last hoorah. And I felt honestly like this was necessary. Not saying that I wasn't already excited for Punk versus Seth Rollins, but there was a part of me that was always feeling like I should be more excited for this. And why aren't I more excited for this yet? And I feel like one of the reasons why I wasn't like peak level of excited is because we hadn't gotten this moment. And they did too many what's called asynchronous promos where you talk while you're in the ring, I'll do a backstage interview, you do a backstage interview. And you and I have sat here before while I was in Colombia when we've seen these asynchronous promos before, and we both agreed that's not the way to build this. You need to get these two guys in the ring and just let them pour their hatred and everything at each other on that microphone. And we finally got it. This felt, Denise, this felt like the go home promo to a WrestleMania. That's what that felt like. It felt monumental. It felt like the thing that you need to watch next week is monumentally huge. And I loved a lot of the things that CM Punk was bringing up in this promo as well. It really wasn't all just overstepping the line and saying these horrible things, although that's what all of the websites are going to be talking about tomorrow morning. But I really like that CM Punk really stood on business and said, listen, like, while you were trying to make your way up in this place, I was the one taking the arrows in the back. And when I left, you kissed the boot, you lick the boot, you swallowed the corporate Kool-Aid, and I've come back with the arrows and I'm ready to shove them down your throat. Honestly, this was maybe a top 5 promo segment of the year for me, Denise.
That's exactly what I said the second the show ended. I thought, of course, 2024, it's coming to an end. I don't really know what I was expecting, but I sure as hell wasn't expecting a segment like this that I would say was up there, given everything that we saw heading into WrestleMania season with Cody and The Rock, and then everything we saw with Punk and Drew, and just all of, God, at the top of this month, the Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods turning on Big E moment. I kind of thought that was going to be like the last big pivotal moment for Raw in 2024. And then it ended up being this here that sort of stole that like limelight, because this was a really good way to say, hey guys, we're ending 2024 USA Network in the biggest possible way. Like, what a way to say goodbye. But then also getting into this Netflix era with the biggest possible way that we can. Another thing that I do want to mention from this promo is we got an AEW mention. Now, for the longest time, AEW was constantly, every single week, somebody would throw some sort of shot at WWE, right? Like every single week.
It was
And
like
for
a
the most
meme.
part,
It was
right.
so often. It was like, this is losing its punch, folks.
And for so long, like you never really got any mentions from WWE. Maybe like one. Okay, fine. But it's not something that happened often. And truth be told, I didn't know if Seth was gonna go there. So when he did, I was legitimately surprised, but I loved it because I thought, how do you talk about CM Punk, this controversial figure, and not mention probably one of the most problematic, most highly publicized news stories of the wrestling, decade, when you think about everything that went down with CM Punk and the Elite and the brawl and the drama that ensued with him and Tony Khan, who's a billionaire, and all the drama that went there to the point where CM Punk got fired, Tony Khan feared for his life. How do you not mention that? I mean, that is the easiest. Santi, if you were beefing with CM Punk and you were cutting a promo, there ain't no way that you, me, and every single person here would not mention that and throw that as a shot to CM Punk.
Oh, for sure. It was the low-hanging fruit that we always know has been there, but it always felt like even though it was a low-hanging fruit, it felt like it was forbidden fruit for WWE, like they weren't willing to go there. But if there was a match or a feud that I think warrants it, it's this one. And I'm perfectly fine if they never bring it up again. I'm perfectly fine if Punk goes and has other feuds in his time in the WWE and they don't need to bring that up again, because there was one feud where you had that as a possibility where it could be used, and it was this one. And one of the things I don't want to see is WWE do the AEW thing where they continue to poke at the bear and dig back into that well to the point where it loses that luster one time. One time is all I needed, one time is enough to allow the wrestling nerd in me to have the little giggle. Oh my God, they actually did it. They actually mentioned it. Oh my God. Yeah. I'm good. I'm satiated.
Yes, I feel like you're right. And WWE does sometimes do that sometimes where like if something hits, they're like, oh, let's keep doing it. Let's keep doing it. But no, this was definitely the moment that it called for it. It was necessary here. And I'm glad that they actually went for it because it made sense to the story. So now next week, we're going to go into Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. That is happening. This can't be it, right, Santi? This one match on Netflix. Like, I feel like coming after this, like there's got to be more, right? Like they have the opportunity to do more.
I would imagine. I mean, it just seems like such a major, important match and such a high-profile money feud. And we heard Punk mention that line again that he's here to make money. I can't see how in the world we wouldn't get this again.
I
And
know.
considering that not only do we have WrestleMania coming up, but then we also have 2-night SummerSlam coming as well. So there's so many different places where you can have this match again, and it's totally warranted for it to happen again.
Who wins the first match though? I can't
I
decide.
I would look, my prediction would be CM Punk. CM Punk would be the one that I feel like makes the most sense to have Seth Rollins be that vengeful dude that wants to continue to chase CM Punk to get that victory back. So I'm going to say Punk.
Oh man, my heart wants to say CM Punk, but I also feel like I'm going with CM Punk more, just because. Oh, Sanjay, how was your audio?
Uh-oh.
I wasn't sure. Oh, there you go. You're good now. You're good. You're good. I think we were just getting like some outside random noise, but you're good.
Weird.
Uh,
Okay.
so here's the thing though, is that with CM Punk, I feel like him winning this match, I almost want to go more towards CM Punk just because I'm a bigger CM Punk fan. But you also don't want to take the legs from underneath Seth Rollins, especially because when this whole thing first started, I was really seeing CM Punk as up here. And given the fact that he's out there, trying to little brother him, I think that with Seth Rollins' promo, like he does, you could make a good argument that Seth Rollins should also be winning because of the way that he closed out that promo, calling CM Punk a cancer, saying that he has to cut him off. And how do you call a man a cancer, saying he's got to cut him off and then lose in the first match, right?
Yeah, and that's the other bit that they kind of called back to. Remember that Seth Rollins interview at a WWE 2K event of all places? Him calling Philly, fail boy, you're a cancer, stay away. That felt like another major callback of like these like major inflection points in the CM Punk and Seth Rollins storyline. It's important that we're kind of getting them all out. But I really do feel like it's better to have Seth chase the win because it's Seth that has been, at the very least in storyline, was chasing the attention from CM Punk all of those years ago. So I'm going to go with CM Punk here.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into some of these super chats because I know everyone's dying to get their thoughts in. And let's see what the people are saying. First and foremost, thank you so much to Honey Drips. It says, hey, Denise, hope you had a great Christmas. I did. I had a really good time and it was nice to relax. Thank you so much for asking. We got Anthony Giuliano here who says, I'm surprised Seth didn't mention AJ Lee. I mean, he kind of did because, AJ Lee is, with CM Punk. And when he said you don't have kids, I feel like that was definitely implied with AJ Lee.
Yeah, obviously, for sure. Now we had both of the misses getting called out. As a fellow miss yourself, how would you feel if you're watching at home and you were to get called out, Denise?
Santi, okay, as a childless woman right here in her 30s, okay? If I heard someone say like, "Oh, you don't have a child," to my husband or to me, I would be like, "Well, first of all, you mind your damn freaking business. You don't know what's going on here if I do or if I don't or other things." That's because here's the thing, right? Santi, with everything that was mentioned here today on this promo, everything was wrestling related except that part. That part was the only thing that wasn't wrestling related. That was more personal in terms of attacking someone's lifestyle.
Okay, that is very true. And we've seen this kind of getting brought up again because we had something like this happen in the Drew McIntyre feud and CM Punk. They tried to go in the personal route, bringing the dog, the friendship bracelet. So this seems like it might just be a formula for CM Punk feuds moving forward, where we're just going to bring CM Punk's personal life into this because CM Punk, I don't think calling him a hermit is the correct word, but he's always just sort of felt inaccessible to wrestling fans, especially in the last 10 years. So it feels taboo to bring CM Punk's personal life into storylines because that's always just been something that's been so separate from the CM Punk that we've witnessed on screen. When CM Punk's personal life gets brought up as part of a promo, it feels like it hits harder compared to when, Seth Rollins is, a relationship with Becky Lynch or his daughter. It doesn't seem like it hits as hard because that seems to be a lot more public, a lot more accessible to fans. Meanwhile, Punk's public personal life just seems like it's this iron curtain. So to see it get kind of like spilled out into a WWE promo, it just feels wrong, but so right.
Yeah, you're like, "Should I be looking? I wanna look." You're like covering your eyes, but peeking a little bit. It's forbidden, but you wanna see it. It's exactly what we're getting here. All right, we got Jeff Lee here. Thank you so much to Jeff Lee. He says, "Seth actually mentioned the AEW fiasco." Damn, I didn't mention him that he took that pocket of money. I'm thinking, oh, a shot directly at Tony Khan because people always throw shots at Tony Khan for being rich and whatnot. So it's just good stuff
Oh
across the
no.
board.
Well, poor Tony, he's so rich. What?
I wish people threw shots at me because I was
Me too.
incredibly rich.
Oh
I
yeah,
would not mind that whatsoever.
what a sad life that would be.
Look at you, you billionaire Santi.
Oh.
All right, we got Terrence Johnson here who says Dakota turned on Tegan, Raquel, and Bailey. I'm assuming that's what you're predicting there or expecting there from there, Terrence. Right? Am I reading that right, Santi?
I think Terrence is mentioning that Dakota is a bit of a snake, that she in the
Oh yeah,
past
that's
has
right.
turned on Tegan Knox, Raquel, and Bailey, and I'm assuming Terrence is expecting her to turn on Io as well.
Yes, correct. Okay, thank you so much, Terrence. We got John Taylor here who says Santi is worth the wait. Yes, we were out here waiting for you, Santi, but you're worth the wait, so we're good. Mr. Acosta here says, I've been running around my apartment since that promo, right? Don't you have like this newfound energy? Like, I got to go and get up and do something now. That's how lit it was. Thank you, Mr. Acosta. We got Rudy Botha here who says CM Punk and Roman Heyman, guys, lit. ECW. Hey man, we still don't even know what that freaking favor from Paul Heyman's gonna be, but I feel we're getting closer and closer. Thank you so much, Rudy. We got JK here says that closing promo was absolutely incredible. Both guys brought it. Punk is GOAT on the mic, and Seth took his game to another level. That's true because at one point, Santi, when this whole thing first started here tonight, I was a little concerned in the beginning. I thought, ooh, CM Punk brought some good burners. Like, is Seth Rollins gonna be able to like come back and be on the same level as CM Punk? When Punk mentioned that, yeah, people were chanting my name, but they were usually chanting my name during your boring matches, that was hilarious. So funny. JK, thank you so much. We got Sheldon Jackson here who says the CM Punk Seth Rollins interaction was such a palate cleanser after that World's End main event on Saturday because that was complete shit. Drama, drama, drama. We unfolded that on the AEW World's End podcast. If you guys want to check that out. That is in the channel for sure. We got Anthony Giuliano who says, can we get Seth and Becky versus Punk and AJ Lee? I mean, I would love to see AJ Lee back. It doesn't seem like she wants to be back though, Santi. Do you think there's even a possibility of that?
I haven't seen anything that tells me that there is a possibility, but this is also professional wrestling where I feel like look, the hard part's already done. The hard part was Punk coming back. That was the hard part. AJ Lee coming back now seems like a cakewalk compared to Punk, but if it hasn't happened yet, especially during the Drew stuff with the bracelet, that's where it probably made the most sense, I don't see it happening.
We got Soundwave 80s who says, what's somebody say? I wouldn't land B Sue if Seth Rollins did a pile driver onto CM Punk and vice versa at the Netflix Raw premiere. Okay. He's wondering if we would get like a pile driver spot. That kind of seems like that's what they're doing right now with Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. So you don't necessarily have to go about it that direction, but sure, why not? Santi, is that something you'd be interested in seeing?
No. If I'm being honest with you, I'm good. Like, honestly, it just kind of depends on the situation. Like the pile driver, like the The Pandora's box of the pile driver has been opened, and if you continue to use it in different matches and in different feuds, it'll feel like it's just not as special a thing as WWE is making it out to be right now. So I'm going to say I'm good without it.
Thank you so much, Soundwave 80s. All right, so we can take a breather. We've spent a lot of time on CM Punk and Seth Rollins. So I do want to go ahead and get into another really big moment with Santi. You mentioned right at the top of this that it really had us going. I thought this was going to be one of the biggest shocking moments of the night. Still a shocking moment nonetheless, but we had the Women's Intercontinental title tournament continue on, and we saw the semifinals today. Io Sky versus Lyra Valkyria. Santi, I was so dead set on the idea that Io was winning this match. And I just thought it would be perfect. Like, oh yeah, Io Sky versus Dakota Kai in the finals. That is 100% what we're going to get. You know, this is two friends. Maybe it'll happen here. Something crazy. I was so set on Io making it to the finals and winning the entire thing that Lyra winning completely took me out. I was not expecting it. I love Lyra. I think she's a great performer. And obviously she went to the finals of the Queen of the Ring with Nia Jax. So I thought in a way it was kind of great to see her win this because we've seen her in her past experiences on the tournament do very well. But now I'm honestly torn. I don't know if we're going to have Dakota Kai or Lyra Valkyria win the Intercontinental Championship. Like, if you have Lyra lose again in the finals of the tournament, that would kind of suck, right? Because she lost last time. You don't want to see it this time again. So it's making me think that Lyra might actually win. But at the same time, Dakota Kai just came back and she's looking to get her groove back here on the show. And this could be a hell of a way for Dakota Kai to make her presence be felt here on Raw. What do you think?
I agree with pretty much everything that you're saying here. I was also expecting Io Sky here. I was just not expecting Lyra Valkyria to be able to beat Io Sky again, clean, twice in the same year, both in a tournament semifinal format. But what a match it was. And honestly, like halfway through the match, I kind of threw that out the window where I'm like, I don't care. I just want to see these two fight until the end of time because the match was just that damn good. Do you follow the NFL, Denise?
Very little. I'm a
Sure.
Jets fan. I'm married into it. I'm a casual, but I
Sure.
watch.
This analogy will land with NFL listeners here. It seems like Lyra Valkyria is Eli Manning and Io Sky is Tom Brady. Two Super Bowls where Tom Brady is unstoppable and somehow he cannot beat Eli Manning. It seems like Lyra Valkyria is the kryptonite of Io Sky. And I would love for them to tell a story surrounding that. Like, this is just the one person on the roster that no matter how good Io is, no matter how on top of the world she is, she just cannot seem to beat Lyra Valkyria. And that's something that they could run with for years if they wanted to. But to piggyback off of what you were saying, I was really expecting Dakota versus Io because they kind of set that up in the pre-match promo. And I thought that eventually would lead to a match and then the heel turn from Dakota Kai. But one of the things that I've noticed from these tournament matches on both Raw and SmackDown is that they've done very little in the way of swerves. You know, they've just said match, have one, and impress us. And it seems like that's going to be the mantra here for the Women's Intercontinental Championship side of things as well, because I'm sure you and other people and me, I was expecting somebody from PFC at some point in this match when Io was going to go up for the moonsault, but no, just no shenanigans. And I feel like that's going to be the same case here in the final. I still feel like a Dakota and Io turn on one another can still happen, but I feel like they want to leave that for once the championship is fully in the ecosystem. I don't think they want the final or one of the semifinals to be marred by any like storyline shenanigans. I feel like they want a definitive winner. And then once the definitive winner is set in stone, then you can tell the deeper, more interwoven storylines of somebody turns heel on one another, et cetera, et cetera. I think that Dakota Kai is going to win this because I do feel like they're going to tell a story between Dakota Kai and Io Sky. I just felt like that pre-match promo, there's too much there for them to not do, but it does sort of feel like Lyra is the one that needs to win it because back-to-back championship finals losses, that's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of sitting here going like, damn, those are both good cases for Dakota Kai and also for Lyra. So I don't really know. I mean, with the US title tournament, it was so clear cut. We're like, let's go Chelsea. If Chelsea doesn't win, we riot. But with this one, I'm thinking like, dude, it could go any direction at this point. I truly do not know. They already surprised me enough by having EO not take it all the way that I'm kind of just in it for the ride now. Like surprise me and I'll be good with whatever direction they decide to go
Yeah.
in with this one. We got Soundwave 80s here who sends in a super chat saying the Obsession song from Saturday night's main event was sung by Animo Gian. I don't think I said that right. Awesome song. I love Get Into the Groove song by Madonna. Hey man, I love that song too, but I love me some Madonna a whole lot. Soundwave 80s, thank you so much for the super chat. Are you a Madonna fan, Santi?
Uh, well, I like the Weird Al Yankovic song, you know, the Like a Surgeon, but he does
Oh
uh
my god.
like a
No, like a
like a
spin-off?
version.
Yeah.
I like the Weird
No.
Al I like the Weird Al songs that spoof Madonna. I'll say that.
Oh my God. What Santi, how are you not a Madonna fan? I don't get it. Madonna's great. She's the one person I still haven't seen in concert that I've been like dying to see it in concert. So hopefully it'll happen at some point. I'll make a note of that to make it happen. But anyways, all right, we got a couple more items to get into for Monday Night Raw. We saw the return of Sheamus. He confronted Ludwig Kaiser. Man, happy to see Sheamus. By the way, did they add something different to his theme song? Because it sounded
Denise, I'm
differently to
so
me.
glad you brought this up. Sheamus's theme song is a fucking mystery to me because I'll hear the drums and I'm like, I don't know who the hell that is.
I didn't know
I'm
who
like,
it
who the
was
hell is that?
either.
I'm like, is Penta debuting a week before Netflix? And the thing is, Denise, is that this has happened every time Sheamus comes back with those drums. It's like the least recognizable like opening pop to an entrance theme besides like Michin at the moment. Those drums for Sheamus, they just don't do it for me. I don't know if they've added anything different to the song. All I know is that we still don't have our limes back. We still need more limes in his entrance theme. We don't have them. Not enough limes. Anyways, you can go on and talk about his theme now. I'm just glad that there was something to talk about because it was the first thing that I said when Sheamus's music hit.
Dude, you know who I thought it was? And I feel so stupid. I was like, are they calling up Obafemi with the drums?
No, yeah, no, I feel that. No. That's totally
That's what I thought.
that's fair. That's fair. That is how just like think about when he had the Lime song, how recognizable that like initial note was for Sheamus's theme, right? It's the shame, but damn, hot of head. Now this is just unrecognizable. And I know we'll talk about this later, but we're in the topic of theme songs here. Out of all of the entrance themes that need changing in WWE, why change the Judgment Days? That was like one of like the good things in terms of songs that were currently in WWE's repertoire, and they changed it to some rap song that just doesn't fit them. Anyways,
Yeah, because I was gonna say I noticed that too, but then I just thought maybe I haven't been paying close enough attention. Like I hate that so many of these songs just blend into each other where they don't really sound so distinct to the point where I'm like, did you get a new song? Did you not? Was this always the song? I hate that I'm questioning myself like that.
no, I feel that, but for sure, the Judgment Day has a new theme, and it sucks.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm glad that I'm not like crazy. But anyway, Sound with 80s meant to say animation, animotion. All right, that's who sings it. Okay, good to know. Good to know. But anyways, I was happy to see Sheamus return. I think a lot of people, I think him and Ludwig Kaiser is definitely the right direction to sort of go because both of these guys have worked together in the past and they've done really good work with one another. And I mean, dude, I don't know what else to say. They kind of seem like they belong together here. Sheamus is such a hard hitting wrestler, and Ludwig Kaiser works really well with guys like Sheamus. It's perfect.
And you know what? If this feud, I presume, will have legs for a couple of months, imagine the crowds we can get in Europe as we go towards WrestleMania in a
What
match
did
with
he
these
say? The
two.
European
Oh, I
elegance.
can't.
There
It
you
was
go.
the European elegance. Because they're doing a tour of Europe for Raws and SmackDown in the final like month and a half leading to WrestleMania, and I feel like those two could get themselves a rowdy, hot European crowd. That would be so much fun. Insert Braun Breaker in there. I'll take some European woofs. How do you? Okay, this is so random, but we're at this point of the show. I American dogs, woof. Latino dogs, wow, wow, wow. I don't know if this is a thing that's spoken in your Latino roots. When people talk about dogs in Latin America and they talk about woofs, they say wow, 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 wow. What does a European dog sound like, Denise?
Oh shit, that's a great question. I'm like thinking about it. Santi, I never thought about it that way because I do say wow wow, mira el wow wow,
Wow, wow, wow.
which is so stupid, right? Like,
That
why do we do that?
that's well,
And
no,
then woof woof.
that's how Hispanic dogs talk. They wow wow, and English speaking dogs they woof woof. So what would European or German dogs? What do they sound like?
I feel like it has to be fancy, like a woof woof, you know?
Mm. Oh,
Because
that's a French dog.
I feel like Europeans are very fancy. I
Mm.
mean, look at Ludwig Kaiser, look at everybody else. Someone says bark bark,
Oh, is that
you're
what
a
they do
woof.
over there?
I don't
You
know, it could
guys.
be like a bark bark.
I'm so glad I was able to derail this podcast into
Arf
dog
arf.
conversation. Arf arf.
I don't know. I'm just reading what everybody's saying here in the chat. There's a Euro woof and an arf arf, and there's a Lee woof,
Low.
Lee woof, a Lee woof dog.
Anyways, Monday Night Raw.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna be thinking about this now because it's true.
It's
What the
true.
hell?
Listen,
What the hell?
there's a wrestling topic here, and it's Braun Breaker. He got called out by Ludwig Kaiser. Do you see Ludwig Kaiser getting a shot at the IC title here soon?
I mean, well, so he just had that bout with Braun Breaker, and obviously it's not Braun Breaker. You're laughing because I'm thinking about dogs
I
while
know.
I'm talking
I've
about this
completely
match.
ruined this podcast with my dog question.
Now I'm just thinking of like every dog question that I've ever had in my life. Oh my god! But here's the thing. So I hate everybody. Trippy fetus wrote, "Woof eats baguette." Okay, he had the match with Braun Breaker. Obviously, we know it's not Braun Breaker's turn to give it up just yet for the Intercontinental title. I think a lot of people are anticipating more so Sheamus to finally check that Intercontinental Championship box off eventually, right? Like that's gonna happen. Ludwig, I'm telling you, I'm not really expecting anything until like any title for him until after he finally turns on Gunther. That's when I feel things are gonna start really happening for him.
See, I'm expecting them to get separated.
Yeah, right. They have to.
In the portal, though, I'm not expecting an attack or anything. I'm expecting just the portal to split them.
You think they can do
Yeah.
that? They teased the Gunther Ludwig situation for a couple of
Yeah,
times.
you're right. They did tease it with Ludwig kind of being disillusioned with the ring general not being this unstoppable badass. So yeah, maybe they do need to hit on that, but they seem like they're really far away from that story
Yeah.
thread being connected. They seem like they're miles and miles away from that.
They seemed like they were closer a while back, and then we completely just went in different directions. And now it does seem like, but I feel like they can't. I feel like there's a story opportunity. And when there's a story opportunity, you should take it at some point. I would hate if they got just completely separated in the talent portal and we never saw like anything else come of that. I feel like we have to see it because that's been the moment that I think a lot of people have been waiting for. Like, when is this going to happen? And if it does, like, we want to see it because we know that Gunther is going to be so nasty to Ludwig Kaiser because, he throws down in the mic. He's not afraid to say what he wants to say. And I think that could be like the feud for Gunther that kind of gains a little bit of that intrigue back because there's a real story there of two guys that were, former comrades, So I feel like there's something there that they shouldn't just throw it away. But let's go ahead and rewind to the top of the show. It was weird because I thought we would have a lot more to say about this here, but we had the New Day come out and they are obviously getting booed. We get New Day sucks chants. Jey Uso comes out. He tells them they suck too. And then after this, Drew McIntyre comes out and claymores Jey Uso. They kind of go at it back and forth a little bit, but Drew McIntyre is the one that's able to, rise above here and basically kicks his ass, even with the help of security coming through, trying to keep them apart from each other. But in regards to the New Day, though, I was expecting a little bit more there, but it seems like they've been mostly wanting to sell the fact that the crowd should be booing. I feel like right now as a crowd, we're being trained. We're being trained that every time you see them, you just boo, and that's it.
I feel like you've hit it on the head. I feel like that's what they're doing with the New Day. They've done it with hey, look, even Dominic Mysterio thinks that they're messed up. They keep doing these things that are kind of like training the audience to remind them and continue to tell them what they did is so bad that you need to boo them out of the building. And I feel like they did it again by having the crowd boo the New Day out of the building, only to be followed by the most popular guy in the WWE, so that we can see the difference between what a beloved guy sounds like and what the hated guy sounds like. So they keep doing these like physical like training sessions on fans that we need to hate the New Day. Like, it can't get more overt that we need to hate the New Day than when the mom hates the New Day. So at one point or another, though, Denise, they're going to need to give us a little bit more substance. I'm okay with what they're doing right now. But at some point, they're going to need to give us a little bit more substance. And I feel like we might be getting it here with Rey Mysterio, where he said that he's going to have a tag team partner. Some people are expecting Penta. I hope that's not the case. Please do not put Penta in the LWO. That is not where he belongs. Please do not do that. But back to the New Day. At some point, you can't just rely on the one trick pony of a gimmick of we go out there and get booed. Sure, it works with Dominic Mysterio, and it did, but to a degree, like that's an outlier. You can't rely on an outlier situation. And if you want to see an example of where this isn't working, Butch, that whole gimmick of don't call me Butch, don't call me Butch, where they keep doing it every single week. I'm done. I've lost interest. You've killed this character for me. You need to give us eventually a little bit more substance. And I still feel like there's plenty of runway for the New Day, but I'm just saying at some point, plane's got to take off.
You want to know why I hate the Butch storyline? Because so he was going by the name Butch and he had no problem with it, right? And then all of a sudden we get the name change back to Pete Dunne. Great. But then the storyline became about his old name. And I'm like, why? Why did it become about his old name when we moved on to his new name now? Why is the storyline about that? Can you imagine if Piper Niven's storyline was about when she was being called Dewdrop? Or if Gunther was like, I'm not Gunther, I'm Walter, or, some crazy thing like that. It's so freaking silly. And I hate that they've reduced Pete Dunne, who is such a great wrestler, to a weird, it's supposed to be a comedy bit, but it's not even comedy.
I think it's supposed to be comedy because R-Truth is there. It's literally like truth is there equals comedy, but I don't know. I don't feel like this is Pete Dunne's forte, like in terms of the type of villain that he should be or could be playing. I don't think that this is it. It's not working for me. But back to the New Day, this is working for me, but there will come a point where I'm gonna want more. And if that more ends up being reigniting a feud with the Usos, it's been a while, and I'm here for that. If that's the case, I would love for that to happen, but it just seems that anyone from the bloodline right now just seems so inaccessible to anything that isn't a bloodline related feud. Probably will be the case for right past WrestleMania.
And I think that's why we find ourselves seeing Drew McIntyre right now in this beef with the Usos, Jimmy and now Jey Uso as well. And I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, we know that he's not going to go for Roman right now. Roman's preoccupied. CM Punk, you can't go back to that. We were just there. So we are only left here with Drew and the Uso with not a broken toe with Jey. And so it's sort of like almost like process of elimination of who's left for Drew to feud with. But I do hope that this, I don't know. I'm excited for this feud. I'm not necessarily like anti the feud. I'm more so just curious to see what they're going to bring out in each other.
Sure. I think I can verbalize what my problem is with this feud, and maybe it's the same for you. My problem with Drew McIntyre versus any one of the bloodline is that it's just to build to the bigger match, the eventual Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre match, which means that all of these are just sort of precursors to build up to that. Which brings up my question to you, Denise. If we don't get The Rock on Netflix during Tribal Combat because it's not main eventing, apparently it's Punk versus Rollins, do you see Roman's Mania match being Drew McIntyre? Because it feels like that's where it would be going. That's the end of this current iteration of Drew McIntyre. This bloodline bounty hunter, Drew McIntyre, starts and ends with Roman. And if we don't get The Rock and Roman at this year's Mania, are you satisfied with that being Roman's match this year at Mania if that's the route they were to go?
Yes, I would be happy for that, and for one big reason. That reason being that Drew McIntyre, he really did put the legwork in this year to become the star that he did. He signed that brand new contract. Santi, I did a social media poll on all my social media websites, and I asked everybody who was the MVP of 2024. I had never seen somebody win so drastically on all the platforms, and everybody's so different. It feels like every app has a little bit of a different personality. Every single platform voted for Drew McIntyre with like more than 50% of the vote. And I'm like, that's great. The fact that people are like acknowledging this. I mean, they're picking him as 2024 MVP over Cody Rhodes, who literally had a whole ass movement that got The Rock out of the WrestleMania main event and kept Cody Rhodes' WrestleMania main event. And still, people are voting for Drew McIntyre as MVP of 2024. That tells me that what Drew did didn't just work for me, but it worked for the masses of people. And you gotta reward that. Like, Drew is doing good work. You gotta reward that. So if they do your scenario and we end up in a situation where we get Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania, I'm here for that. And part of me, I'm even gonna lie, I'm gonna be kind of rooting for Drew McIntyre.
Yeah,
I can't help it.
100%. I feel like that scenario opens up so many intriguing things. Not because I don't feel like that's a main event worthy match, but I wouldn't expect Roman versus Drew in just a match where they hate each other with nothing on the line in terms of like titles for that to close out any of the Mania nights, which would just create such a fun scenario of having to fantasy book what would main event night one and night two, because that opens up the door for Punk and Rollins again, maybe potentially. Who knows?
Do you think there's a scenario where we get Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns? Because that's another one that we've been waiting for. And
Sure.
Roman and Seth was obviously very pissed off at everybody being out there helping out Roman Reigns, and he made it very, very clear to Solo Sikoa that if he's ever in the ring again, it's going to be against Roman Reigns.
I do think that there is a possibility where that happens. It's hard to connect those dots right now because even though they are kind of hovering each other in terms of storylines, like the storyline between Punk and Seth is off piggybacking off of Punk teaming up with Roman. We don't yet have that concrete link between Roman and Seth again. The nice thing about those two is that you can just snap your fingers, do it, and everybody will be like, holy shit, yeah, here we go. You don't really need to do a lot of legwork for that. So in the world where The Rock is not available for this Mania, there's some really intriguing options like Seth or Drew McIntyre for Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. I will say, if The Rock is available, just do Rock Roman. Get it out of the way. Just do it. Don't save it. Don't save it another year. You never know with The Rock schedule. Just do it.
I agree. Just do it. Agreed. All right, we got a couple of super chats here. We got Terrence Johnson who says, my last donut was about his last donation was about his earlier theory. Oh, thank you. So Terrence had theorized that he believes Dakota Kai was the one who took out Kyrie. That's what his theory was prior to that. I didn't see it too much. Do you see it though, Santi? Do you think this was a possibility?
No. PFC admitted to it. They
Oh
already
shit!
said,
Didn't even miss. I missed that completely.
Yeah. That was last week in a backstage segment interview. They admitted to it.
Great. That just shows how much I was like, we care about PFC around here. Look at Santi, you're anti-PFC, but yet you remember their storylines.
Pure fried chicken.
We got Anthony Giuliano here who says, Denise, did you see Zilla Fatu versus Booker T at Reality School? They saying this is Dilla's graduation to the WWE. Dilla is coming. So I saw a little clip that the match was going to happen, but I haven't actually seen the matchup itself. I don't know when that's supposed to be taking place. I don't know the date on that, but I know that Zilla is very, very young. He's very, very young. So I still thought like he had plenty of time to go to WWE, but who knows, man? If he goes in and he's ready, then why the hell not? I know Mark Henry did mention on Busted Open, he had said that there's, at least 3 to 4 people that are in the sidelines right now waiting to get in on this bloodline story angle. So maybe Zilla's one of them. Thank you so much, Anthony. We got Soliv Gents. Soliv Gents. Did I say that
You
right?
got
Soliv
this.
Gents?
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right,
yeah.
like, did
No,
I
you
say
got this.
that right? All right. She says CM Punk should have asked him where Dean Ambrose is. Oh my God. Can you imagine if we would have gotten a Dean Ambrose mention?
Oh, brother. Oh, brother. Honestly, that would have been crazy. That's out of this world.
No, I would have laughed so hard. But I mean, at the same time, we got Vince, Colt Cabana, AEW. What? Come on, like everything was on the table at that point. Thank you so much for sending this in, man. Thank you. All right, we got a couple more items to get into. We got Otis versus Chad Gable, a fun matchup here. I know we were kind of over not having to necessarily see this. I thought this was going to be a win for Otis, but it was a win for Chad Gable. Fun matchup, Santi. Nothing much else to add, though, in my opinion.
Honestly, I'm just gonna be a bah humbug about this. It's just weird how much Chad Gable struggled, considering 3 weeks ago he was going toe to toe with Cody Rhodes, and he needed all of Alpha Academy, all of American Made to basically attack Otis to win this. I don't feel like this did anything for anybody, considering this is 5 months too late. It almost felt like they did the match choreography that they probably should have done at SummerSlam or 5 months ago when Otis was over. So because we're so far removed from it, because that movement of like Otis becoming like really hot with the crowd, we're well past that. Otis being mostly dominant in this match didn't really land because the
No.
crowd doesn't have, there's not that buzz that they built up so well in the summer. If we were doing an award show for biggest missed opportunity of the year, it was Chad Gable Otis. And I felt like this was just a final like send off of like, well, let's do it, I guess. And let's fully move on from this once we go to Netflix.
Dude, I feel you on that. I was just kind of like, all right, I'm going to enjoy the ride because I know this is going to be a fun match. I marked, obviously, when he suplexed him. Great stuff. Nothing much else to add there. I'm going to be honest with you. I did not care about Damian Priest and War Raiders versus the Judgment Day. I was just watching, but I was on autopilot. Like it's nothing grabbed my attention here. And when the match ended, I thought, okay, good. That was it. I'm sorry. This isn't doing anything for me at all. They're bringing down Damian Priest's stock in this. Like, let him be free to go do something else. This is not working for me. I'm completely over it.
Yeah. You and I are on the same page there. This entire story arc between Damian Priest and Finn Balor, like it just seems like it's a rat race that nobody is going to win. And the biggest losers to me here are the fans. Like this is just not something that's getting people excited to watch Damian Priest, which is a shame considering we're on the back of a great world championship run that he had. And this is just such a piss poor follow up to that championship reign. Again, I've talked about this before on our show here that I felt like the problem was that they just took too long to pull the trigger post SummerSlam on Damian Priest and Finn Balor. And it seems like maybe that's almost a symptom of some of Triple H's booking where there's just some things. Somebody in my chat said it perfectly, that I get with Triple H's long-term storytelling that a brisket, it needs several hours to cook perfectly. But sometimes you just want a hot pocket pizza. Sometimes you just want something out of a microwave real quickly eat it in the middle of the night, feel guilty about yourself the next day. Not everything needs to be a brisket. Not everything needs to be long and drawn out. And Damian and Finn should have been a fun hot pocket.
Honestly, that's the best way to describe that. Yeah, shout out to whoever said that on your chat because that's the way that I'm going to look at it now. And now also I kind of want a hot pocket. So there's that too. Thank you for putting the imagery in my mind here. But ladies and gents, that was the last and final Raw on the USA Network. So happy they played the montage. That's what I was looking forward to on the show as well. But next week, the next time we're here talking about Raw, we're going to be talking about Raw in an entirely different manner over on Netflix. We do got a super chat here, by the way, from Stephen Marchuli. Thank you so much, Stephen, as always. He says, does the bloodline story eventually lead to Roman going back to heel again? He never apologized. I feel like maybe at some point that will happen, but I want to see how far we can get with babyface Roman.
Sure. I mean, dude, they spent like 8 years trying to make us care about babyface Roman, and they finally have. I don't think that they're eager to go back to heel Roman. I don't think that they are.
Thank you so much, Steven. We got Soundwave 80s here who says CM Punk and Seth Rollins' promo was awesome. I think their fight on the Netflix premiere will be very interesting. Who is your favorite WWF wrestler? So my favorite wrestler of all time is honestly Kurt Angle. So I'm gonna throw him in there because I think he is just a brilliant. Current favorite WWE wrestler, though. For a bit, it was kind of Gunther with the work that he was doing, but it's kind of gone down a little bit for me. All time is still, throw in CM Punk. He's still an all-time favorite for me. So that's kind of where I'm at. What about you, Santi?
All-time WWF wrestler? What does that mean exactly? Like, are we talking about like when it was?
That's why I just answered it the way I answered
Yeah,
it. Thank you for however you want to answer
Look,
it.
my favorite all time, like, is public knowledge, is it's John Cena. Look, I can do this for you real quick. It's Cena, Punk, Rock, Randy Orton, Kurt Angle. That's the list of
I'm just
Santi
happy
right
Kurt
there.
Angle's in your top 5.
I love
So
Kurt
that's for
Angle.
me. I've had to shuffle mine around a little bit because if I really was to be honest, like my number 1 for the longest time was Chris Jericho, but then like the recent AEW run kind of took a little bit away from that.
Hi,
But
guys.
if we just include like the WWE stuff, it's Jericho, Punk, Kurt Angle. But then if we just include the wrestling stuff, it's Kurt Angle number 1. So you see what I'm saying? Like I kind of shuffle them around depending on what we're talking about, what time period of their career, in ring, overall, what are we getting into, Soundwave 80s, thank you so much for the super chat as well. Alrighty, Santi, are you ready for next week?
I'm so excited. Have they confirmed if it's 3 hours, or are they just sort of like going until the show ends?
I think
Okay.
it is. I think it is 3 hours. So we'll just prepare for 3
So
hours.
much more work for us. Extra 2 hours of streaming now.
So I think I'm going to be at the show next week, by the way.
Okay.
So I'll let you know what our plan is for the post show, but we will be here. Depending on how that works out, Santi, we'll talk and we'll figure that all out. But it's going to be a fun time. Can't wait. Thank you so much to everybody. Santi and I will be taking on the Netflix era here every single Monday. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please do not forget to give some love to Santi. Santi, tell the people where they can check you out and check out all your work.
Find me in anything and everything branded Santi Zap. Just Google it and find the platform that you like, whether it's Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Pick your choice. Pick your poison.
Same for me at _ Denise Salcedo, pretty much everywhere. Head on over to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. I'm trying to be like Santi. I'm posting daily content now, and I think I'm becoming a crazy person. You want to know how I know I'm going crazy, Santi?
Tell
get
me.
this. I walked into the living room and my Christmas tree wasn't there. And I looked at my husband and I said, "Oh, good, you took the Christmas tree out." He looks at me and he goes, "Denise, that's been gone since yesterday morning." I was in the house and didn't notice that our Christmas tree was gone until the next day. That's how effed up this all has me. That's how I know I'm going crazy.
I'd love to tell you that it gets better, but it only gets worse, Denise.
You're going to be like, "What's your last name?" I don't know. I can't think anymore. All right, you guys, with that, thank you so much. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.
Take care.